I'm now joined by Leezia Dhalla, one of the first 25 people in the country to be protected under DACA. She came to Texas from Canada on a visa with her family when she was 6 years old. She went on to graduate from high school with summa cum laude honors at Northwestern University's journalism school. Leezia is now a communications associate in D.C. Leezia, you didn't know you were undocumented until just a few years ago, right?
Thanks for having me. I did not know until my junior year of college when I came home and my dad said, you got a letter in the mail from the Department of Homeland Security. And it was a notice to appear in immigration court, which is basically the first step in the deportation process. Fortunately, the DACA program was announced on my college graduation day. And since then, I went through a pretty extensive background check. I got my fingerprints checked. I paid an application fee, met certain educational and military requirements. And through that, I was able to earn DACA, which provided me with a temporary reprieve from deportation and a 2-year renewable work permit, which has allowed me to do incredible things. Because of that program, I've been able to buy a home. I've been able to buy a car. I got a job, and now I pay taxes, both state taxes and federal taxes. I also have a business that where I help U.S. citizens find jobs. So that program has been truly transformational, not just for me, but for the 800,000 others who rely on the DACA program to be able to live and work legally here in the United States.
What happens to all that stuff if you are forced to leave? And then secondly, where would you go?
Well, I immigrated from Canada about 21 years ago, but all of the progress that I made in the United States would end. You know, many of us have built a life here. This is where we grew up. This is our home. And without that, the protections afforded to me through the DACA program, I would no to work. I would no longer be able to pay taxes. I would no longer be able to pay my mortgage. There are severe consequences, both economically and morally. For every day that DACA renewals are put on hold, 1,400 young people will lose their ability to work. They'll be pulled out of the American workforce. And the consequences are pretty far-reaching. DACA recipients live in all 50 states. We are teachers. We are nurses. We are engineers. We work in retail. We have a tremendous economic impact, and eliminating the program would slash our GDP by billions and billions of dollars over the next decade. It is a disaster.
Leezia, President Obama said that he would come out and he would have to make a statement on this if it turned out that President Trump rescinded it, and so far he has. We just got this on Facebook from President Obama. Let's be clear. The action taken today isn't required legally. It's a political decision and a moral decision. Whatever concerns or complaints Americans may have about immigration in general, we shouldn't threaten the future of this group of young people who are here through no fault of their own, who pose no threat, who are not taking anything away from the rest of us. They are that pitcher on our kids' softball team, that first responder who helps out his community after a disaster, that cadet in the ROTC who wants nothing more than to wear the uniform of the country that gave him a chance. Kicking them out won't lower the unemployment rate or lighten anyone's taxes or raise anybody's wages. Are you confident that Congress is going to be able to come up with a fix?
Look, I think we've seen tremendous support from members of Congress from both sides of the aisle coming out supporting Dreamers, because they know that we are an economic multiplier. They know that allowing us to stay here and to become permanent residents and citizens of the United States is the right thing to do. Last week, we saw Senator Hatch come out in support of Dreamers. We saw Speaker Ryan wants to see a bipartisan legislative solution for this demographic. Last weekend, we saw Senator Lankford from Oklahoma say that Dreamers deserve a permanent solution. So I'm confident that members of Congress can work together to find a bipartisan solution, because there really is no other option. I think Congress has an important choice to make at this point. They can either turn their backs on 800,000 young people who came to this country as children, or they can do the right thing and come together to pass a permanent legislative solution that allows us to stay, allows us to continue to be productive members of society, and allows us to remain here at home.
Leezia, critics would say that you're not legal, and there are lots of folks who are waiting to get in here and do it legally, do it the right way. You came in here when you were 6 years old, right?
I did, and my family
Did you have a choice?
Well, I did not have a choice. Nobody asked my permission, but I also want to point out that, you know, I didn't raise myself. I think that, you know, For me personally, the reason that we became undocumented is because one time our lawyer filed our paperwork late, and another time the employer sponsoring us sold his business. And so because of that change in ownership, we had to restart the entire application process. It's been 21 years. There are dreamers who have been waiting for decades for a permanent solution. I think we deserve it.
DACA recipient Leezia Dhalla. Leezia, thank you very much.
Thanks.